Hi, my name is Destiny Washington, and this video blog or vlog series will be about my experience as a teaching assistant at Florida State University in the fall 2018 semester. So this semester, I'm actually serving as a teaching assistant for the Leadership 2162 course, which is titled Leadership in Groups and Communities. So this course is actually aimed at getting Florida State students more interested in service and actually understanding the impact of service on the community. So this vlog is actually for the week of September 3rd, 2018, and this was actually a pretty big week. So this was my first week facilitating a class all by myself. So what I'm going to do is talk about what I did, how I think it went in a sandwich method, so a positive, maybe not so positive, and then another positive, and then I'll talk about what I've learned from this experience or this week. So this week I facilitated a class activity on Tuckman's group development theory. So Tuckman's theory is actually one of my favorite theories to talk about because it helps you understand the different stages that groups go through before they can truly work as a functioning group. So as you may have heard, it goes through forming, storming, norming, and then there's other adaptations where there's maybe renorming or adjourning. So anyways, I thought that this would be the perfect activity for the students to get up. It's the second week of classes. Get up, let's talk in front of the group, and let's act it out because it's the perfect, in my opinion, it's the perfect activity for a role-playing activity. So anyways, the way I went about it was I created strips of paper with each stage. So one strip might have had forming on it, the other strip might have had norming on it, and so on and so forth. So each group, I wrote the class, there's only 18 students, broke them into 4 groups, so about, give or take, 4 students in each group, and each group had a stage. So the directions were to act out the stage. So keep your stage anonymous once you receive it, and then come up in front of the class and act it out. So I gave the students 10 minutes to talk within their groups and figure out how do we want to enact this stage that we have in front of us. So my first thought was, why are they so quiet? So I gave them time. I gave them 10 minutes to figure out how they wanted to act out the scene. And they were just so shy. I mean, I sat there and I was like, okay, I hope that they're generating ideas so that they have something to act upon. But I let it ride out for about 10 minutes. And during the duration of the 10 minutes, Dr. Lawrenson, who is the professor, Dr. Marianne Lawrenson, she actually gave me little pointers on when to understand that the students have had too much time. So these pointers are all about reading body cues. So maybe the students are becoming jittery. Maybe they've pulled out their phones. Maybe the conversation has stopped or they changed topics so they no longer need to talk about the topic of the activity. Maybe someone's gotten up to use the restroom. So all of these are little cues that I learned this week that help you understand whether you're giving too much time for the activity. So let's say I gave them 10 minutes. It took about 8 before I called everybody back. And the students went ahead and enacted their skits, and they were actually pretty good. So they didn't talk a lot when they made the skits, but somehow they made these pretty awesome skits regarding forming, the way a group forms, the way a group storms, which is when maybe there's tension in the groups. So I was pretty impressed. So at the end, I was able to sort of facilitate conversation about each stage. So I think that this was a great learning opportunity because when you ask a question, how do you follow up the question as the teacher to make sure everyone's understanding what we're talking about? So for example, I would ask everyone to recap forming in case someone didn't understand it. So forming is when the group initially forms and everything's cool. So you're getting to know each other, you're understanding what role each person plays in the group. So if I asked the class after everyone was done performing, can we recap what forming is so that we're all on the same page? And someone tells me, is when the group is getting to know each other. So how do I play off of that and sort of build a conversation so that everyone gets some type of understanding of what forming is, and so that I'm not just abruptly ending that and saying, okay, thank you, what's storming? So that was a great learning opportunity. So I would definitely say that the positive was the fact that I was able to successfully facilitate an activity. The not so positive was that I felt a bit of awkwardness, being that I maybe gave them too much time to enact the scenes or figure out what they were going to do to enact the scenes. And also that, they weren't talking. So I think thinking forward, maybe a role-playing activity isn't the best thing to do during the second week of classes. It's not the worst, obviously, but understand that people are still getting to know each other, and that especially when we're working like me with sophomores and juniors, so second and third years, that they may not be comfortable, Maybe you have to build time in for people to get comfortable with their classmates before you do a role-playing activity. So at the end of the activity, I actually thought, maybe this role-playing isn't the best activity. Maybe I shouldn't add this activity again throughout the duration of the semester. So as I get ready to debrief with Dr. Lawrenson, I'm slowly making my way. I'm building up the conversation to say, I want to reflect on this. Like something, it worked obviously, but how can I make this better? And before I was even able to build up the conversation with Dr. Lawrenson, she mentioned, hey, so-and-so actually just told me that this was a really fun class today. And that just blew my mind. I was like, wow. Because if I hadn't heard that, I would have really thought that this role-playing activity, it got us through the day. It worked, obviously, in some capacity, but I would have thought that I could have used that time in that class better. So the role-playing activity was a good activity, I would say. But the con is that I did have to work through some of those awkward stages as my first time facilitating. Additionally, I would say that another positive is that the students enjoyed it. As I just mentioned, that student went up and said that it was a very fun class. So that actually made my week. And that I'm actually learning a lot in a small amount of time. So just understanding that I'm learning how to read body cues of students and learning how to engage students in conversation even when maybe they don't want, to talk, or maybe they're not engaging. How do I get them to engage? These are all little pieces that I've learned within the first 2 weeks. So definitely looking forward to the rest of the semester, and I can't wait to update you on how everything goes.